It has just gone 6 o'clock, and a great welcome to you wherever you are that's watching Pat Kumafani Conversations on a Thursday. You know, this time that we host SA leaders, okay, across the board, some in politics, some in business, some in sport, some in construction, some in tourism, some in farming, and talking about some in farming, you will be so pleased today that we're going to bring you someone I have a conversation with who is only 35. I mean, he is in the youth category. But guess what? He is making his name internationally already, as a farmer. And he doesn't farm sheep, goats, pigs, cattle, or neither is he farming cabbages or maize or any of those things. But in an interesting way, he produces olive oil and he has his own brand, Ubuntu Virgin Olive Oil. And I'm talking about none other than Loyiso MANGA, Nyanagasis colleague MANGA, the MANGA girls who I went to Bethel with. And so he's almost like a son to me. And it's great to welcome Loyiso this evening. We're going to have a fascinating discussion because this young man is making history and will be putting Uitenhage is already putting Uitenhage on world map with his passion, olive oil. Loyiso, it's great to have you on Pat Mafani Conversations. Wow. A warm welcome to you and what a pleasure, man.
Thank you, Mr. Wafani. It's an honor for me to be in this prestigious platform, and thank you to all your guests for tuning in.
That's right. Well, the Pat Funny Conversations is live simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. And so the people that are watching you are almost around the globe. Sometimes we have people watching us from the US, sometimes from Saudi Arabia, sometimes from the UK and Nigeria and all these places. And so it's good to have you. And when I talk about international markets, I know that I'm touching your passion because that's where you've already been, touching on some of the international markets. But before we get there, I want us to start it right at the beginning. I just told the viewers that I was at the same boarding school with your mom, Mrs. Kolega, and Colin also Magazwako was my classmate, and I am in disbelief. I cannot believe it that I'm having a conversation with his colleague's son, who is putting not only the Manga family on the map, but not only Kwanobuhle, Tinaha, Eastern Cape, but South Africa. Let's start right from the beginning. You are qualified in business management with honors, and that's how you landed up in Cape Town. But man, anything that has to do with farming, Ilaiti Asekasi Kwanobuhle, and then the next thing, there you are in farming. How did it all begin that you have this passion, Loyiso, about farming? What introduced and who introduced you to farming? Tell us about it.
Yeah. It is quite strange that a Lokshin boy like myself can find himself in the agricultural sector. So one of the major things is that I think as a young child I was always within the precincts of agriculture, whether it was umbona, ulinywayo, cocoa, or anywhere else. Actually, it was always just such a pleasure for me to find myself in that situation, and I found it very comforting. And so as I was growing up, I had opportunities where people would, they would offer me to come to their farm, and I really enjoyed, the the agricultural sector, the handling of sheep, as a child, for you to be, it was the one place that you were given free reign to do whatever you wanted, as long as you did not harm animals. So at the tender age of 9 and 10, Putpatko, I was applying sunlight, lily gaga on my hands, literally giving birth, taking my hands and putting them inside, the insides of cattle negusha and bringing out lambs. So I was exposed to all of that at a young age. I mean, I could slaughter igusha and at 13 and skin it obviously with assistance. So I found that this is where I found joy. This is where I found peace. I always gravitated towards, friends who were farmers, amabhulu, namaXhosa, who spoke the same language. So I genuinely, from an onset, I knew what I wanted to become. I knew that I did not want to become a man of success, but I wanted to become a man of value. And if I could add any form of value, then I would personally myself be proud of myself. So I was just always in the vicinity, and I just loved the ambience of the rural manure. I really loved it, and that's where it started.
Wow, wow. And then, let's admit it. Ambalwa machita asetinakhe lokshin that would have this kind of passion to find umquba ukunukela ngendlela ekutena on from a business point of view. No, seriously. No, seriously. But then olive oil.
Yeah.
Kuzo zonke izinto ze-farming, amakhaphetshu, iitapile, ihagu, ibhokhwe, and everything. Olive oil. What attracted you to olive oil?
As you'd mentioned earlier, so I graduated from Helderberg College, and after I had graduated from Helderberg College in 2010, I was unemployed for about 2 years, and it was in that time, it never felt as if I was unemployed because being I was always echini, where it was more rural and besolusa, besistintin. But once in a while, I would send my CV out somewhere. But then that Dafman Mkhabulo from a gentleman that I admire a lot, who is in the agriculture space. And then he said, listen, Loyiso, it's 2013. Government, we are working with government to accelerate and make agriculture fashionable to our people. And so find yourself in an agriculture space. You need to see IKAPA not only from a political point of view that our people do not thrive there, but you need to view it to say, I will be successful because most of the Afrikaans speaking farmers here are white, and let me be the first black one. So I was always I was always unapologetic about the fact that I needed to enter a niche market. The livestock, igusha nebhokhwe, had been exhausted. I needed to enter a niche market, and fortunately for myself, I did some research, and this is one of the things maybe we'll speak about in the end, where when we are saying we are young people to love agriculture, we want them to look into niche markets. Abantu bethu are living healthy now. We need farmers who are going to look into cucumbers, pepper juice, garlic, red onions. These are people, this is lettuce. This is what our people are consuming. So my first directive was that I need a niche market, and I discovered that there were no black producers or olive oil farmers in the country, and that's how I directed my compass towards olive oil.
And any links perhaps to, particularly as a graduate of Helderberg,
Yes.
people who have studied health and temperance, any links perhaps to a passion for healthier eating,
Yes.
as you were choosing, apart from the niche market,
Yeah.
any links to the fact that here from Tonga, China's calling a fish oil fish oil right through light,
Yes.
fish oil right through.
Yes.
So,
Ala.
so any
So
links, yeah, any links to healthy
Yeah,
eating habits,
yeah,
health and
yeah.
temperance.
No, of course, no, of course. That's sorry there. So that's the one thing, that besides the niche market, I went to go visit a farmer, and it was a wine farm. But when I interrogated this guy about, what is it, he showed me an olive grove in the Wekulu olive oils, and he spoke to me about the health benefits of olive oil. And when he was telling me about these things, we speak about reducing high blood pressure. It helps with your type 2 diabetes. It helps with eczema yabantwana. Amakhaladi nama-slums in the Western Cape, they don't take pills for those things. All they do is to drink one teaspoon or spoon of olive oil a day. This is known amongst the colored community in the Western Cape, and of course, our white counterparts are doing it. So there is always, and I grew up in a church also that emphasized the importance of a healthy nation, of a healthy Advent, who was not only waiting for the second coming, but was also living healthy. So, one cannot run away from that, because that was our daily bread: health and temperance, to eat healthy, to do all of these things. So I thought to myself, I've got a background in this. I've heard about it being spoken about. There's your charcoal now and all of these things, but a good premium olive oil can do wonders to improve one's health. So it was a key factor.
Yeah, yabona Louis, you're touching me now, kakhulu when you talk about high blood. Hey, fundini, jonga. Oledi lakho, omakazi balapha already. I mean, nazi comments. Siskoleka, I said, wow, wasitsala kude Patco, and your whole family here, family, friends, and nangu nomakazi naye, she's watching Snovuyoyi. So all the friends are here, and people who admire the niche market, and but now xa uthetha nge-high blood, you're touching me, because mna 2 years ago ndidiagnoswe nge-high blood, so ndine-pressure.
Yeah.
Yabo. And ke ngoku ndiyacinga ke ngoku into yoba khame mani Loyiso ke ndibizele chef yam izova le nto uba no more ngoku i-fish oil. Abuhle
Yeah,
yiza
yes. Yeah, yes, mntwana.
jonga
Cha,
ubuhle
iyavimba,
ubuhle
ivimba le nto.
ubuhle makayeke i-fish oil. Buhle ndiza nangu ubuhle khathethe naye ayeke, xa ephekela mna ayeke i-fish oil nangu.
He's well aware. He's well aware. He was supposed to come with me on tour, Kawatula ngoku, but he knows. He knows what good healthy eating does, and he knows the importance of olive oil as a chef. He understands, that it's not highly accessible. That might be the challenge. But when you use and you drizzle olive oil on even if it's on your steak, even if it's on your salad,
Sure,
he knows the
sure.
amazing benefits that
Okay,
it has.
Loy, yima light. Buhle. Into ofuna ngiphekela nge-fish oil nje nanku Loyi esithi yayazi le way ye-olive. No more i-fish oil efundini. And funeka ke ngoku sifumane ii-box zeebhotile zikaloyi zize apha. Uyabo?
Correct.
Yeah. So ndithi le chef iphekela mna le chef, yabo. So ndifuna
Yes.
olive oil qha ngoku, yabo.
That,
Okay, thanks Buhle. Loy, let's escalate this to how you branded your business.
yes.
I mean, Ubuntu Virgin Olive Oil.
Yes.
Okay, kanihlakazele eligama kancane nje. Why Ubuntu, and then nini there's Virgin, and then you know what I'm saying?
Ufuna ndil-exegete.
Yeah. Ka exegete la. Xa bawusuke Helderberg.
So the important thing as an entrepreneur I saw in the industry, not only did I discover that a black farmer who is in the olive oil industry, they do not even have a black brand. Now, And what I noticed, ke, Patko, now as someone who goes with your partner to shop at times, you will find that the olive oil section, you are not picture of what it really entails, because the reality is that it's probably got some old grandmother ninja. It's green, it's unattractive, it's ugly. So the first thing as an entrepreneur was that I needed something. I needed a name that all South Africans can identify with, in no matter how they chose to define it. So there was the concept of Ubuntu, compassion. I am because you are. Me putting myself in your shoes. Whether you speak to an Indian or you speak to an Afrikaner in TR, they at least have some form of understanding. So this is something. This is a word that is highly relatable, and branding is what people love about it. They simply love it because it's attractive and it's African and it's appealing. I'll show you one of my bottles now. So
Mm.
so this so that is Ubuntu. Extra virgin olive oil simply means it's a higher grade of extra virgin olive oil. So the difference with extra virgin olive oil is that all that is done in that process of the olive oil is that ithathwa emthini, ipresswe, and out of that pressing comes the liquid form of olive oil, and that's it. Now,
Wow.
now, you might want to ask me, and I might get into trouble. But this is the part of the education that we want to give to our people. Loyiso,
Sure.
what is the difference between sunflower oil and extra virgin olive oil? Now, I've explained that olive oil, olive oil. Here's our brand for people abangayaziyo.
Sure.
Here's our
Ubuntu.
brand,
Yeah.
Ubuntu. Yes.
Yeah.
So the difference, Putbatko, is that most sunflower, ila flower in cool, right? Yellow
Yes.
on the exterior, but then it's black on the inside. Yeah, well, that's a
Mm-hmm.
sunflower oil. But now the question is, how do you turn that sunflower, which is the black,
Yeah.
into a white form, or ifumana olive oil? Now, Ukanyimba, get to make it very simple and easy for you. Ukanyimba
Mm.
was black, now she's white, and the re- and how she got there was because she used bleach and detergents, and that is how abantu, these farmers are turning that sunflower, which is black, into they use detergents and they use bleaches, and then they sell those things to our people. And that's why I'm saying, when you look at the two, how it's made is very important, and I pride myself by entering into this market, because we need to educate our people that extra virgin olive oil is not an elitist white brand or into yabelungu, but now our people can afford it and they must choose to live healthy,
Sure.
and encourage
Sure.
that.
Sure. I like a comment and question kapanda uqamata uMadiba uti we are vegans apha endlini and only buy olive oil. And how and where do we buy Ubuntu?
Ubuntu. So Ubuntu, at the moment, as you know, Butbatko, we are doing a national campaign from Cape Town, namhlanje siseMonti bese Izolo. And what we are doing is that we are trying to campaign for Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil to be in the retail stores. That is the key thing, you know.
Sure.
Um, and we are traveling and we are making engagements with Oma Spa and so forth. So if umntu efunayo, basically they either go to the website Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil, ubuntuevo.com. They can inbox me on Loyiso Manga or Ubuntu extra. I'm readily available. My number
Sure.
is, so Umdu can contact me, but we are going to Johannesburg. By month's end, we'll be in Johannesburg and we'll be able to meet people and to give people. But in the normal, we deliver from postnet to postnet. So njengoba lapha eMonti, I will send it if he's in Randburg or he's in Johannesburg, is in Midrand or in Centurion, we'll send it to your closest postnet in Centurion. And that we found to be very cost saving.
Okay, okay, lovely, lovely. I thought I would ask this question right at the end, but since the Connie viewers that are pressurizing me to ask the question now,
Yeah.
xa kukho abantu who probably have a piece of land, hectares of land, which they feel, you know what, I want to join Loyiso in farming olive oil. Will there be opportunities for such people who would say, I'm in the Eastern Cape, I'm a young black professional or qualified agriculturalist, and I think I want to venture into this space. Can you coach me, or can I partner with you? Can I collaborate with you? Those kind of things.
Yeah. So the one thing that makes olive oil very sensitive um, is that it all depends on soil type. What is the soil type? For example, and it's very petty. It's a very petty crop. Predominantly, it's grown in the Western Cape because the Western Cape has got a Mediterranean climate, just like they grow it in Italy, in Spain, and so forth. So there is a Mediterranean similarity when you look at your Western Cape and when you look at Italy, Spain, Greek, and all those countries. But now the climate in KZN, for example, is too humid. The crop will
Yeah,
die. Upper Eastern Cape, in Yeka in Dao, there is one place and one place only that grows it, and Ilape Alisdale. And it's pretty petty because this one portion of land is where you grow it successfully only at the corn farm paya. Now, the soil type matters. I call it
sure,
successfully. It's been tried and tested. Effort, they've done very little work on it. But now both they've said that, listen, Loyiso, this thing does not work here. But one thing I'm working on at the moment is that we have discovered through my research that there are wild olives growing at Kobo Kobo. And we are looking into that program because if the wild olive, which is the cousin to the olive oil or the olive production, then we can look into those things. So if you've got land at Kobo Kobo, then we can definitely take a look at it. But most likely, if you are not in the Western Cape or you are not in Alisdale, it won't work because it's been tried and tested, and Isaveli Feka,
sure,
it's been
sure,
tested.
sure. And then from a value chain point of view, iidakha ezininzi zicinga uba xa kuthethwa nge-agriculture kuthethwa nge-raw material ne-raw produce kuphela. And we forget that from an agro-processing point of view, there are other business opportunities where somebody could play a part, in the entire value chain, including exporting, if that's one of your dreams, particularly xa iyi-plant enochuku. That would then mean that probably the rest of the Indian Ocean is out ngenxa ye-humidity. Or Madagascar, Mauritius, the
Oh,
island of the Reunion, Seychelles, and all of those places. It's so humid. And that could mean that those are potential markets. When we call from ekuqaleni uhambe nayo uyayibhotilisha ngokwakho. I want to understand those things. You're
okay.
doing the bottling yourself, you're doing the distribution yourself, you're doing the marketing yourself. Tell us about what's happening in the value chain and who plays a part in the value chain.
So initially, just as a point of just to bring everyone to where we are, for the last 2 years, I've been struggling to get funding for the farm and the Funayo in the Western Cape. Now, in the Western Cape, there are several farms that are available, but the challenge is the funding aspect because administratively, uh, a Western Cape people still do not understand. Loyiso, what do you mean that what do you mean when you say you want to own an olive oil farm? Because in their racist minds, they still believe and they still think that the only role for people to play in agriculture in Western Cape is for them to be farm workers. So when a confident young black guy like myself says, listen, I'm going to turn around this industry, I want to participate, I want to be part of the value chain. Abayenzi loo nto leyo. So what I did is that I said to the farmer December when I launched, I said, listen, really, we have done our best. Now uyawabona aba bantu uba abayifuni le nto yenzeke. Ndicela undiphe mna please provide me with bottles of olive oil. And he gave me about 50. A month later, I said to him, Vili, spelili bottle. The bottles are finished. He gave me 500. And I sold those 500 within that month of January. And this has been a record in the olive oil industry, because all they do is to take that olive oil from farmers zabo bayoyibeka bayoyidampa ema-Shoprite and Checkers, and it stays there. So what I'm doing at the moment, because I'm starting to get a little bit more education around olive oil and the agro processing, at the moment, is that I buy olive oil from him in bulk. Ndizithengele ibhotile. I buy my caps, so I cap it. So I do all of that, and we do all of that filling also. So that's where I am in the value chain at the moment, is that the only the only thing that I don't do is to produce, because we are in the process of buying the farmer. So the farm is still owned by the farmer, but now all I'm doing is that buying in olive oil, then I bottle it, I stamp it, I label it, and I cap it, etc.
Okay, utin uvili about possibilities of an outright buy of the farm, so that yonke into from raw material and growing up the actual plant and 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 then you just own all the business, and you can employ as many black people and train as many black people as you can. Are you in an understanding now to buy the farm? If not his farm, have you got plans to buy any farmer somewhere, perhaps, to make sure that you rewrite history?
Yeah.
Because indeed you are rewriting history, Loyiso. This is greatness in the making, you know. So what is from a land ownership point of view and farm ownership point of view? What are the arrangements that are there, Novili? What is the understanding, and so that soon and very soon we can say sisaya kula farma kaloyiso singene ngo reverse silayishe ibhokisi ngebhokisi ze ubuntu extra vo sihambe naye xa ndisithi ke ubuntu extra vo ndithi ke ubuntu extra virgin olive oil, ubuntu extra vo. Well, I like the branding. The branding is powerful, and you'll never go wrong with the brand Ubuntu. Okay, your picture has just disappeared, but I hope when you've not disappeared. Okay, we're talking with my conversation guest tonight, Loyiso MANGA, and he has just entered an unentered area, niche market with olive oil, virgin olive oil. His brand, of course, Ubuntu virgin olive oil. Yeah, Ubuntu virgin oil, extra virgin olive oil, Ubuntu extra vo. All right, okay. It looks like I've lost him for seconds. Let's see. We're going to get him back. Don't worry. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your comments. Good initiative. And there's an advice as well. Let me read the advice while we're waiting for Loyiso from Ufundiswa Gidi. Good initiative. My advice, please don't hesitate, Loyiso, to contact the Department of Economic Development for the processing part. Please inbox me for further advice on funding support, especially about Obo. Okay, now I like that. I like that. There are people, Loyiso is back. There are people who are contributing in a very, very positive and progressive way. Ufundiswa lo Kagidi esithi, please inbox her, okay, about the Department of Economic Development for the processing part, and also further advice on funding. particularly kumcimbi womhlaba, and so that becomes very important. All right, now, Loy, I just need to Kesi ambele pambili kancane nje. I want us to talk about you exposing your product and your brand internationally. You launched Ubuntu on December 2019, but boy, you've been to Turkey and other places around the world. Tell us about your international travel, your international exhibits as well.
And unfortunately, I was supposed to go to Turkey, but the COVID pandemic came at the very same time. It was in April, and I was invited there, and it was an honor for me, because it was the one event that made me feel as if I was on the right track, because these guys had received about 300,000 applications from all over the world, from young people who are mostly in the tech industry, who are doing innovative things. And obviously my olive oil was something outside of that, but they chose to make an exception to say that, listen, this is one of the biggest things coming out of Africa at the moment, and it's the beginning of a year. We'd love to get this guy behind mentorship, the best mentorships, coming from Silicon Valley in America, coming from all over the world. And they wanted to gather me around Lomfuto Lowo. But unfortunately, that was in April, and you know that COVID started just a couple of days in March. So I was unfortunate not to go to that. But I think the idea of being recognized,
Sure, sure.
meant a lot.
There's a question I would love us to tackle, particularly because a few minutes ago we also spoke about the value chain. Jolam Kate City, can I buy and sell from you? And if you were to allow me to be a distributor, what requirements would you put on the table?
Yeah, so that's a question that a lot of people want to get involved with, and I think for me, I don't want to make the same mistakes as guys like your famous DJ Booz, I mean, he just recently came out with a 2 liter yes drink sake, which was great, but now he was selling them, let's say, at 15 rand to people, and those who were reselling could resell it at whatever price. So one person here is buying a 2 liter raspo for 45 rand, the other is buying it for 35. So I still am trying to grapple my mind around that, and it's a very sensitive issue also because I'm starting a brand, and I would hate for it to be messed up by a distributor too. So I've thought about it many a times, and there are people who are distributing my olive
I
oil.
think
We agree at the price, and if it moves, it moves. Again, Abantu, at times I've got a lady, an Afrikaans lady, or Tengis, a product, who sells my product every state, and I say to her all the time, you can't rely on me to market my own product when you have it. I market the product now with me physically to say, go to this part. You can't be a distributor and still want me to be knocking on doors in Tata. For you, I can't do that. So I
sure,
am
sure,
much open to those
sure.
conversations. I don't need to enter that space. I don't want to force myself in it, but I am willing to look at a person, see their drive, and see if their business acumen is the same as mine, because I am at a very fragile stage in my business, and I'd hate for something to happen under my brand.
That's right.
But
That's right. I think if you're watching tonight, we're going to be fair enough to Loyiso, so that he establishes his business, and everything becomes solid, because before he can entrust critical aspects on it. Good. Abanye bethu bayetinarha nanguzola Anthony esithi, ntwana yam, thanks for putting us on the map. Ozola Anthony baxa kwakumaki uthengisa itolofiya etinarha, umuntu afuna uzothengisa, please, please Zola, please. Andimeni madoda. Kaniqaleni ngetolofiya qala. Yabona if ningathengisa itolofiya qala Zola, thengisa itolofiya apha koLuSuthu nakoSwaziland.
Internationally.
Yeah, then nize ne-credentials ezithi nithengise itolofiya mal. Then ke usawuhlala phantsi nani kubuntu.
I think Mr.
Loy, talk to me. Talk to me, Lighty, and I will not avoid this subject. Talk to me about challenges.
Yes.
Talk to me about challenges so far, so that part of how we inspire people. But if you read my book, The Price and Prize of Greatness, it inspires through failures and challenges. Abantu babone into yoba you can rise up and you can overcome, because that's what inspires abantu, the ability and the resilience to overcome and rise above challenges. What challenges so far have you been confronted with in setting up your business?
I think I'm sorry, I just want to settle this. I think my biggest challenge is just generally there are many challenges, but I suppose the one challenge is self-belief. The one challenge is belief from people who hold power to understand and to fathom what God is giving to you to establish, and that there's a reason He's giving it to you. And at times you just feel like you are meeting people who whose minds are not at the same level and who do not get the bigger picture. That we can create an agricultural revolution in the Eastern Cape, where the Eastern Cape becomes the bread basket of the whole of South Africa. So when you meet officials who have spent all of their lives in one town and they are decision makers for that, and sometimes they don't even think in color, you get frustrated. And for the longest time, I spent time in the Eastern Cape for 2-3 years trying to do business here. And it was the most depressing time of my life until I decided, hey, I can't anymore. And I moved back to the Western Cape and I
What
did
was
this.
what was depressing? What was
I think
depressing about attempting to do business in the Eastern
I,
Cape?
I think the idea that this thing could happen, if I had proximity to someone else, the tone of the idea that I have would be listened to closely, had I been, in close association with Ikabanel Tile. It's just the fact that people hear what you are. For example, here's a classical example. In Cape Town, when I left Cape Town, kukho into ekuthiwa yi-tag rugby. There's something called tag rugby. So what Amabulu in all of these big schools, Opal Gym, and all of these schools that are producing Springboks, what they are doing is that abantwana babo, they allow them to play at a young age, but they can't tackle each other physically with rugby. But what they do is that they've got a rope around their waist, and then ke ngoku kulaa rope kukho iintambo ezitsalwayo. So if nandileqana nawe, and I take that thing, it's called tag rugby. So there's a tag on your side.
Yeah.
I saw that concept from Tag SA, and I spoke to Tag SA and Newlands, and I said, in Grahamstown. When I got to Grahamstown, to cut the long story short, I tried to meet the officials there for the longest time. For about a year, I struggled to gain access to email, even to email officials to say, here is my plan for the Sarah Batman region. Can you please support me? 2 years later, Putpatko, Umbalula was the minister then. Umbalula, I don't know where they had seen this project that I wanted to do, because I gave it to his chief of staff. But one way or the other, Lendo ya implement, or the very same thing that I wanted to do here was implemented in KZN, and it was very successful. If you follow rugby, you look at the Sharks rugby side and how they've been successful. Yeah. Implement the Eastern Cape, the very same thing that I wanted to do. But the problem was, is that when government wanted to implement this thing, they had no people on the ground to implement it. So you think to yourself that lento bekusupposed by izinabani, because in a progressive province like the KZN, someone saw it there and they did it. But here, one had to slave. One had to try and meet officials. You couldn't meet them. So that is a very same principle that happened in the agriculture sector too. Where there were farms that were available. Abantu say to me, Loyiso, please, we want you to turn around our farm. Asinazi truck, asinayo lena, but abantu bethu abafuna ukwenza nto. But you approach, municipality. So there was just a backlash, when it came
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
guys, this thing can be done. Why can we not be progressive enough to be the first people to start it? So, and also that the same case happens in business. The principle is the
Sure.
same throughout.
Okay.
And I suppose,
And okay, no. Still on the challenges.
yes,
Have you met challenges related to racism?
yes. No. That's one of the main challenges, and those happened here in the Eastern Cape. I mean, I've went to go view farms in Nangasenanaka when you leave Port Elizabeth. Diochonga, a farm, a beautiful dairy farm, and I thought to myself, here is an opportunity. Government, especially in the Eastern Cape, if you give them a good plan, they'll most likely implement it. And you get to the farm, the agent is the same when kule farm bazoyibona kuthethwa Afrikaans kwaba bantu. The farmer is not willing to acknowledge you as the person there, but you are the one who's there to purchase the land. So those are just simple examples, that one. And I mean, being called a cafe, being called all of these names. And white people in the Western Cape especially, they can't fathom the idea that you will take over my farm, because to them, any black participation is at a level of of a
The
ground worker,
laborer.
a laborer. That's the only black participation they see in their minds in farms. They don't see someone who's going to come there with fresh ideas about, no, let's not plant this. Olive oil takes 5 years to grow. How do we plant other cash crops in this place? How do they don't think we can, our reasoning can be better than them, so I mean, I didn't mention it as the first and primary challenge, because it has become so normal, for you to
Yo.
be ignored, no matter how eloquent your English is. But you to them, you'll still be called, a communist, a failure, and all of this. So it's standard. It's standard. It's standard.
Yeah. Well, we have people that are watching tonight. Some of them work in government. Some of them lead business structures such as the Black Business Forum, and the issues pertaining to transformation in this particular sector, agriculture, are very critical. Okay, let's leave that. We'll make a follow up some other time. What are your plans for 2021?
So my plans for 2021, I'm currently working the ground on that now, so that at least by 2021 it's implemented. Um, so as I briefly mentioned to you, I'm taking a national tour. I was working at a call center. I resigned from work, and I said to myself, I've got something great. My people are following me, and I must back myself. I resigned from work. I took a loan, and ndathatha i-panel van ndayigcwalisa zii-olive oil, and I left the Western Cape. And part of that campaign, there are four reasons for that. Number one, which speak to 2021, we want to make Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil a household brand. We want Ubuntu to be a household brand. We want it to be a brand that is sitting in the shelves of our people, especially. Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil, one of its credentials that I did not mention is that the oil that I use, it won gold in New York in the World Olive Oil Competition. It has won gold in every competition that it's set on. So you are not only supporting a black brand, but you are supporting a quality brand. So that's one of the things that makes me very bold and proud about my product. So first things first is that we want to get it on retail stores. Now, apha ke Spa, a friend of mine recommended that I go to the Spa group because at least Spa, they are able to make decisions, the manager, as a franchise there. So if I approach Upadko, Mr. Mafan is the manager of Spa in such a place. Upadko is able to make a decision there to say, Loyiso, we are going to stock 100 of your olive oil. If they move, then we on. But with other institutions like Uma Pick and Pay and Woolworths, it's a national office.
Mm.
But we've got all of those credentials. So one of the plans is that we get into the shelf space in retail. Secondly, as I said, firstly, we want to make it a household brand. Secondly, we want to be a household brand in retail stores. And thirdly, we want the product. I want myself to come back next year personally. I want to come back next year and I want to create an agricultural revolution in the Eastern Cape. Apha abantu bethu are sitting in farms ezingqungwe ngamanzi, but they are not using them. They have got abanye, some of them, I mean, sorry, just to divert. 2 3 days ago, when I got here, Ndicengwe for about a month by a family. It is nefama xa usiya ngaseBedford udlule arm erhini. Sicela Loyiso, please uzosijongela about what we can do here. And can you believe that the whole farm is surrounded by the Fish River, something that you'll never find? So there are water points all over the farm. Aba bantu bohlulwa yitraka qha. And I'm saying to myself, you know what? If I could come back here and mobilize abantwana who graduated from Fort Cox, universities at Fort here, abahleli abatyiwa depression because abaqeshwa, mobilize those students and say that this farm, we are putting you here. All we want from you is to develop a structured plan that has to do with growing of cucumbers, growing of avocados, growing of all of these things. We even go to Bethel College, where we say, in Bethel College, we want to use this land so that it contributes back to the church. Because when you've got idle land, land is a cash cow, so I want to form myself. I'm thinking I want to form myself and I want to come back to the province that I love, and I want to revive all the state-owned institutions and all the state-owned farms, and we create an agricultural revolution. I think it speaks to employment, it speaks to my passion and my love for the Eastern Cape as a whole. So those are my plans, that olive oil ihlale in retail stores so people can have access to it. I can educate our people about it, and from then onwards, we just talk business and how we move
Talking
forward.
about talking about yeah, talking about retail stores. Well, the time is now 11 and a half minutes to 7. We have 11 minutes with Loyiso MANGA, the founder and managing director or chairperson or CEO of Ubuntu Extravo. What a brand! What a brand! And talking about retail, don't look any further. After the show, I'm going to give you someone that will open the doors for you at Spa.
Lovely.
So that sifake ingene kospabe Eastern Cape yonke, ingene kospabe South Africa yonke. After the show, remind me, we need to talk about that. Let's just talk about the other international markets or countries that are strong at olive oil, where you would say, you know what, I'm going to go for 2 weeks to this country because when I'm there, I'm going to come back a lot better because
Yeah,
they are some of the finest when it
yeah.
comes to olive oil. Are there countries who have produced the best of olive oil that you think of? Countries that you think you actually owe yourself a trip to visit?
No, certainly, no, certainly. Uvili, there's a question that you asked that I did not answer, but maybe you'll find time to squeeze it in about ownership and all of that. I didn't answer that one. But
Yeah.
Uvili, the farmer, every year, and I think it's a culture that I'll start too. Every year he goes to Spain and he spends about 2 weeks there. He spends about 2 weeks there, and all he's doing is tasting olive oil. Oh, I love it. The mere idea of sitting against the creme de la creme, the headquarters of olive oil, and I love Kemni olive oil. They sell and always sell. A colleague will tell you sometimes she'll find me going like this. I love it. I sincerely do. So I'll definitely go to Europe. I'll definitely go to Tunisia, where it's originally from. Just to sit there and just feel the texture of olive oil and the technicalities, of how what it does, the polyphenols. When you taste it, maybe when I'm in Johannesburg, we should do an olive oil tasting, and I'll show you how you taste it, and how you go like this. You are bringing out those polyphenols. In the polyphenols, ke ngoku ngezi zizawuhlala apha. Those polyphenols are the ones that fight diabetes. But you won't find those polyphenols with fish oil. Those polyphenols, you'll only find them in a premium olive oil.
Wow. Wow, man. I like the idea of olive oil tasting session. The time now is 9 minutes to the hour, and I would love to take questions from you and contributions from you. The people that are watching outside, please get in touch with us. Okay. Younger Duma says, I wish you all the best, Loyiso. Your energy, passion, and drive is inspiring. And that's a key word, inspiring. I hope we can find a way to continue supporting you. Ziphelile ibhotile ekhaya. Cacile ke ngoku into yoba uyanga lo customer enkulu kakhulu. Yeah. I-customer enkulu kakhulu. Pamela Mbekile, yo, between the passion and the energy, Loyiso is amazing. I wish you all the best with your future plans. Number K, I hear that Italians have been brought into Ghana because of the nature of their land. Wow, this is helpful. This is helpful and impactful. Olive oil tasting. September Dayile. Okay, so Loyiso, um, have you presented your vision to government at the highest? I mean, ukuhlale phansi noRamaphosa boy. Yabo, can ifake i-makeup noyi-2. uRamaphosa aze nala makeup yakhe ya last night. Nawe uze neyakho. Can nihlale
Yeah,
phansi nithethe nge-olive oil at the highest point of government, so that we don't only think Eastern Cape, but we
yes.
think about, so that our government can assist you also to kick the doors open internationally. I mean,
Yeah.
Mina, I can foresee some 2, 3 years, whatever, from now, where Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil will just be exported out of South Africa. Are you planning to engage government at the highest level?
Yes, so I've spoken with Deputy Minister Squacha earlier last year. No, early this year, and he just cited some issues because there's a technical problem that we'll have, because what they do in the Western Cape is that if you have identified a farm and you
Mm,
want the farm, what government does is that it invites other individuals to come and also view this farm. So those who come there, so for example, kule farmer ndiyifunayo mna, I've been advised to say, don't open this process up to government, because kuzawufika amakhaladi phayana ayi-100 to le farm uyifunayo
Mm,
wena, and they are going to
mm.
form themselves in cooperatives where there are ladies, there are young children. When wedwa Loyiso, when that panel in the Western Cape sits, bazawubona uLoyiso oyedwa oyazi olive oil industry, but because they've got a checklist that they need to check, are the women here, are they all these things. So I could lose the farmer that I want if I go through it the the rural development route. But I am also starting to campaign. I've got some contacts of Minister Toko Didiza's email address. It's only the minister who can make, it's within her mandate. She is the only person who can say le farmer mayithenge lo Loyiso and ithenge lo Loyiso. She's the only one who can do that, and I'm currently campaigning with her at the moment. As for appointment no Cyril, I will leave that up to you to set up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a promise. That's a promise. That one. Um, Loyiso, let's probably also look at the best advices that you can give young people. I don't doubt, in the shadow of my mind, I don't doubt that Ubuntu extra virgin olive oil will become one of the best produces as a South Africa going out to the world. I don't doubt that. There's probably somebody young who's still at school or at varsity, or somebody who keeps trying things, trying this one, Ilungi, trying that one, and whatever. What would be your best advice?
I suppose my best advice is advice that is always being mentioned. Don't give up. I could have given up last year, and there still would not be anything called Ubuntu. But because I was hell bent, and I still am strong headed, hell bent, I pray about it. I ask for divine wisdom in everything that I do. So in everything that I do, I have focused and I've dedicated my life into making this thing happen. So when I look at the far end goal, one day when Rhodes University calls me and says, "We are honoring you, of your good works of the Eastern Cape." When I see one day that there are streets named of behind, named named because of Loyiso, when there are universities and academies built in my name one day, at least when I look at that, when I look at the future, everything that I do today becomes worth it. And every time I want to give up, which I normally do want to give up, I look at where I come from, and there's just no going back. And unfortunately, whether you listen to government or you want government to come in, kuba le nto ufuna uyenza wena, and government will come on board. Some or Sisa Chona will come whenever they do come to say that, young men, we are watching you. So do and commit yourself to a struggle in your life, and I've committed myself to the struggle. That I want, there in the next 50 to 100 years time, when people speak about the pandemic, they will speak about Loyiso Manga, who came after the pandemic, who changed our landscape. And I think I've always thought about this. I've always thought about it. And I think, as I said earlier, you know, to me, it's not about success and acquiring Bentleys. To me, it's about making difference in people's lives. And that's, I suppose, is my motive, and my motivation is that never give up. There's no other option now but to go forward. So, you know, believe in yourself and back yourself, and gather people who are around you who talk your language of success, who don't only talk about utywala and talk about all other nonsenses, but who speak about success, who breathe success, and who motivate you. So I've got a few people that I speak to. The rest are all social acquaintances. But when I know that when I'm defeated, there are people who are going to say to me, "Chief, you have done it so far. Keep on going. Do this, do this, do this, do this." So yeah, man, just believe in yourself and don't give up, I suppose, is all that I can say.
I can't let you go without this last part of the conversation, family support. You're a family man, Loyiso. Just tell us about family support. I think I will have failed if I didn't ask you about family support. You are married. You wake up every morning, and as you were struggling in putting it together, and perhaps in one aspect or the other still struggling, how much support and how vital is that kind of family support?
Yeah, I think it's your foundation that family supports, because you can't leave the house with an angry lady who does not believe in what you believe in, and
Mm,
one thing that made it difficult, I think, that makes it difficult for people who have got passions for what they do, is that it's not easy to convince your partner, to fall on to have the same passion for agriculture. Because my wife, ukhulele eMdantsane, ukhulele eKing naseBhisho, she has no reference to ibhusha nebhokhwe, so she would not find attractive anything that is in that route. But because you know she values me as a husband and my happiness, she puts that first. And I suppose even before I got married, I was fortunate enough to have a mother who say, listen, Kwekwe, just do it. Who that's all she'd say. Calculate. Have you calculated the risks? What do they look like? No, no, go for it. We beg you. Ndivuke ndisithi, mama, ndifuna imali, andinamali yokuya kwifama ethile, athi andiniki. Without even questioning or saying what happened to leya ifama le ubuye kuyo. So when you've got people in your corner who support you regardless of success, of temporary success, or now, then you've got gems in your life. So you value them, and whatever success you attain, you know that they are part of the journey, and without them on your shoulders, rubbing shoulders with you, you would not be anywhere. So it's key. It's fundamental.
Loyiso Manga, my guest, as we come to the end of the program, highlighting the importance of family support and also the synchronization of good wishes and uh, good dreams and good spirit from mother, from wife, which is very important. I think there is nothing that is as cancerous as having a partner who does not believe in you, in what you do in your business, and I think I want to congratulate you then, for having a partner that supports thousands of people in business who have attempted this and attempted that, and unfortunately, they did not get the support right in the bedroom. They did not get the support, and
Yeah.
everything they were trying collapsed because there was no support and passion and drive in the bedroom. That thing, Eti, well done, baby. Well done, baby. What's next, baby? Showing interest. I think that's important. So, congratulations. And we'd love to congratulate Nomame Kaya for the support that she gives you. Loiso, all we can say, we SA leaders, South African leaders, young as you are, we thought we should invite you. You deserve it. We don't want to invite leaders that are 70 something years, 60 something years, besozela iparlamente okanye kumasipala and whatever. We also want to celebrate young leaders, young leaders that still have a lot of mileage ahead. So we can just wish you all the best. All the best. Your parting shot?
Parting shot, look out, look out for me. If you could invest in anything, please invest in me. And I suppose a verse of strength to me is Philippians 1 verses 6. It reads, being confident of this very one thing, that he who had begun a good work in you shall
Ah,
complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. So in everything we do, we must know that there is a God who finishes what he starts. And that is what that verse says. So being confident of this one thing, that who had begun a good work in you will finish it. Thank you very much for the opportunity,
wow.
Patco, and for the kind words. I highly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The support is appreciated by everybody that's writing to us now. Don't give up and go see Lloyd to keep up the good work. Dumisa, Busela, and story of South Africans. This is a story that South Africans must hear and will assist to move forward. Any entrepreneur, continue your drive and keep your head up, and all the best. We know that God is on your side. And I will close with this one. Sabawell, what next, baby? Kutsho sinethemba ngamlana. Sabawell banomntu ozawuthi what's next, baby? Sabawell banomntu ozawuthi well done, baby. Congratulations. Sabawell. On that note, Kasabawell, good night, everybody. We love you so much. Thank you, Loy Loy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sure.